want to bring in Bill Reiter. He's back, CBS Sports writer and host of Reiter Than You. Okay, Bill, I'm kind of surprised by this press conference.
Me too.
What do you make of it?
I think it was a very well done press conference. I thought that they came off as really authentic. It's always hard to know, but I think that's really important, both from the international relations crisis and really just for fans in UCLA and around college basketball who wanted some answers and wanted to see whether or not these young men felt guilty for what they'd done. And that's the other takeaway. They did this. The allegations were real. The reports were accurate. They certainly had evidence. And to hear them admit that they committed this crime in China, I thought was fascinating.
I was also really surprised the fact that not only did they own it and say we did it, and we're sorry, and we apologize to our family, but from the get-go, out of the gate, they said, we apologize to the people of China. We apologize to the stores we shoplifted from. We apologize to the police of China. Why do you think they went out of their way to specifically address the Chinese?
Yeah, making calls and talking to sources since the story developed, there was a real sense that these three young men were in a lot of danger, real danger of spending 3 to 7 years in a Chinese prison because the Chinese government, the Chinese people are very sensitive to the idea that they're not respected on the international stage and the internal politics of China, the sense that foreigners can come over, including Americans, of course, and not be held to the same standards as Chinese citizens. And that was seen as a big hurdle for these young men to make it home. And obviously they understood that, and they were addressing a big part of their apology to the Chinese government and to the Chinese citizens, understanding that this could have been a really bad situation because of the sensitivity of three young men who are very high profile, basically getting off with a crime that wouldn't have been afforded the same sort of opportunities if you were a Chinese citizen.
While they didn't serve prison time, they did post a $2,200 bail, which they said got refunded. But they're suspended indefinitely. Are you surprised by that punishment?
I think it's the right decision, but I hate to say that it is sometimes surprising in college athletics when people come to the right conclusion that's adversely impacts their program, and it will. I mean, LiAngelo Ball is the more famous player, and he scored 11 points in his first game, but the other two young men are very good freshmen. This is a pretty good basketball team. It's the right thing. And Dan Guerrero, the athletic director, Steve Alford, the head coach, they came to the right conclusion. Now, I'll say this, it sounds like we're at the right place now. The right answer is not to lift the indefinite suspension in 3 days or 7 days. So
we don't know how long it'll last.
Right, and the fact they're not going to practice or participate or even be able to suit up, I think that's a real punishment. And if it lasts some time, I think they did the right thing.
And you also said it's very rare, you were telling me as this press conference was going on, to actually see the players come forward. It's usually the coaches?
Yeah, it is. And I've covered a lot of programs where young men have gotten into trouble or been accused of various things, gotten into car accidents, whatever it may be, and very rarely do the young men talk. Often, if they're freshmen, as is the case here, head coaches across the country will not make them available to the media. Usually the head coach will come out, he'll do a brief press conference, and then by rule he will say, it's the last time I'm answering questions about this, no matter how many times reporters try in the months ahead. So to see these three young men answer the questions themselves, speak themselves, that's very different than what you usually see in these situations.
I'm wondering what you think about the fact when you look over the horizon of NCAA, the fact that there's these corruption and bribery charges. How do you think that weighed into this?
I think it absolutely weighed into it. I think UCLA, like a lot of universities, just trying to find a balance between having the tradition of athletic success that has certainly defined them, but it's also an excellent university, and there's a lot of pressure, especially in Los Angeles, from people who aren't really into sports and don't care about sports, that the athletic department not embarrass the school and the academic reputation and its graduates. And that was before three basketball players created an international incident. I think that had a huge impact.
Boy, that was just a fascinating press conference to watch and to see the strengths, the lengths they went to getting local hired attorneys and exactly what they did. Bill Reiter, thank you very much.